Good afternoon, or should I say good evening? It's one of those weird times, 6 p.m. Very different time for us to go live, Canon Chatter TV. But welcome to the Last Orders, where today or this evening we're going to be basically, obviously, reviewing yesterday's game against Chelsea. Chelsea 2, Arsenal 4, in what was a huge game and turned out to be a huge win for the Gooners, keeping our top four chances alive and well. We'll also be obviously doing some special congratulations to one of the legends of Arsenal Football Club, which is Ian Wright. On his earning his place in the Premier League Hall of Fame, and we'll also be looking forward to the game at the weekend, which in many ways has kind of become even more important with that victory against Chelsea, and that is Arsenal versus Manchester United, 12:30 p.m. kickoff at the Emirates. So yeah, before we kind of go into it, obviously you can see that I'm joined by Lee this evening. How you doing, Lee? How you feeling?
I'm doing well, mate. Yeah, I'm full of beans and buzzing to do this.
Definitely
Definitely
no.
not tired.
Like I said, we wanted to trial doing an early show because, like most of you watching, will know that most of our shows are, in an evening time of 9 p.m. But we want to try and mix it up a little bit because obviously different people are available at different times, in terms of an audience. But like you, I am tired also. I was up from about 4 5 a.m. My little one wasn't too well. But she's well enough. She's in
good.
good spirits, and yeah, and I'm in good spirits. You know what I mean? We won 4-2 against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, so it's all good.
I thought I was
It's
dreaming.
all good. I know, literally. So yeah, what we'll do now is we will literally run the intro video, and then we'll get started. So see you on the other side.
Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing. The first time it's happened.
Yes, and welcome back to Canon Chatter TV. I'm G Talks Arsenal, your host for this show, which is Last Orders, where we will be reviewing last night's epic win against Chelsea at the Bridge, 4-2 to the Arsenal. As you can see, I'm joined by Lee. We've done our introduction, so we're literally going to get right into it. So yeah, before we get into obviously the lineup and stuff like that, Lee, how are you feeling this morning? Obviously, waking up after last night's epic win in well, I was going to say North London derby, but in a London derby.
Mate, it was a nice feeling to be back winning ways after a crazy sort of game, I must say, at the Bridge. We do like a high scoring game at the Bridge, don't we? But
No, we do.
yeah, it was good fun. Last night's stream, the chat along was really good fun as well. The boys did a great job with us as well. Sam and Matt were fantastic, especially with my Sky Go being so slow. Horrible feeling having a lag, I must say.
Yeah, it is.
I've got to say the boys led it really well. It was really fun, and I say buzzing from the stream. Struggled to get to sleep. Had an early start this morning, but yeah, had to check the phone. Yeah, that really did happen. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. It's all worth it, though, isn't it? It's all worth it.
It was, mate. It's what we do it for, isn't it?
That's it. That's what we do. Like, it's funny because my missus actually had an evening workout class which she goes to every Wednesday, and I actually joked and said, I'm not even sure why I'm watching this, to be honest, because I just feel like we're gonna lose after the last three games. I said, you'll probably get in a couple hours, and I'm gonna be absolutely annoyed.
Oh, well, there you
go. Then she came in, and I kind of just sat there in silence because I wanted her to assume that we'd lost, and then I kind of burst into excitement and said we won the game 4-2. So it was all good. It was all good. But yeah, so we're gonna get into it. So obviously last night's game, like I said, a lot of us were not actually feeling very confident going into this game, and I think that just kind of resonates with the fact that after the international break, everyone was in high spirits. We were on a really good run. I think we just lost, to the likes of Liverpool and City. We was in good form, and a lot of the Gooners that were on international break had a good international break with their respective countries. And then all of a sudden, Palace, Brighton, and Southampton happened, and obviously the mood going into last night's game was not good. Even as far as to say that myself and Bobby predicted a loss
Yeah,
against
saw that.
Chelsea. It was the first time I'd actually ever predicted a loss on a Cannon Chatter show, and that just kind of emphasizes just how low my mood was going into the game. However, we'll get onto obviously the game and how that went, etc. But the lineup came out,
Yeah.
just about an hour before kickoff. Um, Tell me your thoughts about this lineup. So the lineup, for those of you who are listening or can't see a screen, we had started with Ramsdale in goal. Um, I think I've missed out a player here. Might have missed out a player here. Yeah, we
Oh,
had Ramsdale in goal. We had Tavares, White. Oh, sorry, I haven't actually. We had White, Gabriel holding Tavares, Xhaka, El Nene, Saka, Odegaard, ESR, and then Nketiah. What were your first instinct, your first thoughts about the lineup when you saw it?
Right. So the lineup dropped. I go to my wife. Do you know what? I think we'll stream the WWE on Sam's Twitch instead. Honestly, that's the honest truth that we had on our group thing.
Yeah.
So and then there was contrasting thoughts about formation as well. Sky were
Yep.
telling us that Saka was going to be right wing back and with the three lads at centre half.
Mhm.
Then we see El Nini in the lineup. See Nketiah in the lineup for the first time. Man, them lads have not had starts. I think since January, if I'm right in saying that.
Yeah. It was only Nketiah's second start this season.
Yeah. And so I must have thought we were approaching the kickoff. I mean, I was nervous enough being on that side of things, doing the old keyboard stuff.
Yeah.
It didn't help my nerves, to be fair.
Yeah, I
But
can imagine.
I said this: the guts on Arteta to make the changes that he's did. He's obviously his own man. He's a would we say quite stubborn in the way that he goes through things. But he's obviously made the changes. The big one, of course, is Nketiah in for Laka. And quite rightly as well, by the way. I think it needed freshening up. It needed something. And, well, I'll tell you what, the changes were good. And how did it play out, mate? Wow.
Definitely.
Here we go.
I've got to be honest. When the lineup came out, I actually tweeted. I very rarely tweet when the lineup comes out because in the past, I find I just wind myself up before the game for no reason. So, but when I saw this, I have to admit I was concerned, and I was concerned because I couldn't quite work out what we were doing in terms of the formation. And to be honest, I always keep it real. I wasn't best pleased to see El Nene's name on the team sheet. And I wasn't, as much as I've criticized Lacazette, I wasn't best pleased to see Nketiah start. I would have much preferred to have seen maybe Martinelli play through the middle, maybe even potentially Pepe. I think Pepe's gone this summer because I think if this guy can't get a start in this team with a problem where we're lacking goals, then I really can't see after the summer transfer market that he's going to get any minutes at all. So when I looked here, I was concerned. I was concerned about Tavares, but I realized that there wasn't much we could do, obviously, with KT's injury. So, yeah, I was concerned. Obviously, Holding coming back into the side, having not played much football.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, when I looked at the Chelsea lineup, it didn't send fear into me like it may have a couple of seasons ago. At the same time, I did look at Lukaku starting, and I thought maybe they're trying to play a psychological game there, because obviously in the first game of the season he absolutely bullied us when we played them.
He did, yeah.
But since then he's done very little. So I thought maybe the manager was playing a bit of a psychological game there in terms of
That's a great point.
Playing Lukaku, obviously, we're still haunted by the memories of him absolutely bullying Mari in that first game when we played them. So, but yeah, first thoughts on the lineup for me I wasn't very positive. I wasn't very optimistic. But obviously, as the game went on, those fears soon were dispelled. So before we get into the goals and stuff like that, I just want to get we'll go to the comments because a couple of comments have come in. We've got here BX Gunner 81. Afternoon, my Gunners. Afternoon to you. Thank you for joining. D Dubs, my guy D Dubs from my Arsenal Twitter group. Big up, lads. Big up yourself. We've also got Sam Wilson. Hey, both of
Yeah,
you. How are
man.
we? I'm still buzzing from yesterday, 100%. And so you should be. So you should be. It was an amazing, amazing game. And a great stream as well. So thank you for that. BX Gunner 81. I'm waiting for the replay to
Replay.
relive
Yeah.
it again. Laugh out loud. So are we. So are we. This is actually a show I was really excited about doing, to be honest. D
Always
Dubs
just
here
get to
saying,
one.
yeah, definitely. Saliba, White, Gabriel could become the future three pairing for us. Think we should look at it in pre-season. Okay.
Mhm.
And D Dubs again would mean Saliba possibly having to learn to play central in a three, but worth a look. Definitely. And I think that's something we will definitely look at in future shows, particularly when the seasons is over, because that's when obviously Saliba's future will be resolved. And whether or not Arsenal will make any more defensive signings, I think all will kind of be revealed in the future. And we do plan on doing some shows with regard to squad review and outgoings, incoming. So we'll definitely come back to that, D Dubs, at some point. Now I don't know about you, Lee, but I have to ask the question.
Ooh,
I have to
okay.
pose this question to you and
Yeah.
put this statement to you. I'm going to be real. I thought it was a poor start. Forget the goals because we'll get onto that. Forget the excitement of obviously Eddie getting two,
Yeah.
etc., etc. The first kind of 10 minutes or so before we actually took the lead, and even after we took the lead,
Yeah.
I thought we started the game quite poorly in that there were quite a few examples of giving the ball away, losing possession in
Yeah.
kind of key areas on the pitch. What did you make of the first kind of 5-10 minutes, when the
Yeah.
game first kicked off?
Do you know what? I think it was a bit. Probably the best word I can use is sloppy, and it was for both sides as well. I
Hmm.
felt that we were both struggling to keep hold of the ball, putting them early passes together. I don't know if it was nerves
Yeah,
possibly from our lads, because obviously the three games that we've lost on the trot. Bear in mind, Chelsea have had a couple of rocky games
they
at the
have.
bridge as
They
well.
have indeed. Yeah.
I mean, everyone slates us about the Brentford game at the start of the
Mhm.
season. Well, they went and walloped them four goals at the
That's it.
bridge, didn't they?
Yeah. I keep
And
saying they got slapped 4-1 at home.
fair, but and credit to them, by the way.
Yep.
What an amazing time they're having.
Hmm.
Yeah, sloppy and a little unsure, but then as it sort of calmed down, did it really calm down? No, probably not. It probably calmed down a little bit in the second half. I thought we.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think certainly we kept the ball a bit
Hmm.
better, a little bit more controlled. And I also thought that I'm sure we'll talk about this in a minute as well. Because the changes around that back line, and I think there were certainly some miscommunications in there.
Hmm.
Certainly, if you look at our certainly, the equaliser certainly that Timo Werner hit, and it sort of got a crazy sort of deflection, and I think Ramsdale was going in the wrong direction and trying to move his body, and it was too late. Tavares cut him from the other side, trying to mark Azpilicueta, and it just completely missed him. I think, yeah, a bit rocky around the back. I think that was always going to happen, to be honest. I said adding to the nerves of everything prior. But second half for me, things got better. And yeah, but we won't get too far ahead of ourselves. Shall we
Yeah.
go back to Eddie's big
Yeah.
moment
No
to
problem.
start with, shall
No
we?
problem. Yeah. No problem. So, like I said, for me it was a sloppy start.
Yeah.
I thought both teams were, poor in possession. I did feel like even though we were poor in possession, there were times when we looked like we could carve them open. We looked good on the ball, but then, in the same kind of moment, we looked poor on the ball. So it was quite frustrating. It was quite frustrating. But it was, I think, from the first 5-10 minutes, you got a sense with this game that there was going to be goals. Because both teams looked, suspect when it comes to defending. Obviously, like you said, we made a lot of changes, or we've been forced into making changes into our back line. And I think Chelsea massively missed Rudiger. I think him not being there and his absence, I think, was a massive game changer for Chelsea. I'm not always his biggest fan because of obviously he plays for a rival club and the type of player he is, but he's definitely for me one of the best centre backs in the world.
He's a
And I think you
fierce
could
centre half.
see,
Really good
yeah,
player,
you
I
could
think.
see in that Chelsea back line that there was hesitance there from the get-go, you know, and I think they really missed his kind of leadership skills, his aggression, his strength, his pace. I think it was very,
Yeah.
very telling. But in terms of
Yeah.
the first person we're going to speak tonight, we'll speak about tonight, is this gentleman here. Mr. Eddie Nketiah. Now, obviously, in the last stream, myself, Bobby, and Stephen had, you know, somewhat of a debate, discussion about Eddie Nketiah. You know, just kind of like our thoughts about, you know, him as an Arsenal player, what the future holds, etc., etc. Now, I'm gonna openly say I've never rated him. Well, to be fair, that's not actually true. Watching him come up the youth ranks, watching him play for England under 21s, I always thought, you know, there was a striker here, and I've always wished and hoped that he could have transitioned that form into into the Arsenal shirt at a senior level, and it's not for whatever reason quite happened. And I was quite damning of him on the last show. You know, I basically said, look, the sooner we get rid of him, the better. Because I just can't see him being good enough to lead the line for Arsenal Football Club. Now, obviously, just as fate would have it, he
He probably
wanted
was
to
watching
shut
you.
me up. Yeah, he wanted to
Yeah.
shut me up. So obviously he was picked, as you said, which was a surprise for a lot of people. But talk to me about his performance. You
Yeah.
know,
Okay.
obviously he's come into the side. He scored 2 goals. What did you make of obviously both the goals and just his general performance last night?
I thought he looked lively from the get-go. I like. If we go for the first goal, and he's pounced on the mistake from Christensen.
Yep.
Another one who's just back from an injury, I think, from Chelsea as well. He's had a long time away as well, and he just absolutely roared past him. He had a lovely controlled finish for that opening goal. I don't think if that fell to Laka from that position,
No
I don't
chance.
think he would have had the pace to go
No,
through on goal and score.
I
Um,
agree. I agree.
I mean, I'm a Laka fan, but I've said it on this channel already that I don't think he's really a number 9. I do think he supports the play quite well,
Yeah.
but like we saw. I don't want to keep on bringing up Aubameyang because he's long gone history, right? But he played better with the other striker, right?
Yeah.
And but so Eddie's come in. He was lively probably with a point to prove as well. I think
Yep. Yep.
and what better way? I think Arteta's even said himself. You know what? There's probably one player I've been very unfair with. It's that young man because he's not got the game minutes. It's really hard to judge Eddie, I think, especially with Premier League minutes.
Mm.
Like you said to me a bit ago, right? That's only his second Premier League start of the campaign. I don't think he's had that many starts actually in his whole
No,
Premier League campaign.
no,
Or
he
he's only
hasn't.
really appeared in the cup competitions. And in fairness to him, in the cup competitions, and I'm aware of the competition, the teams that we were playing were like, for example, there was a hat-trick against Sunderland. I believe there was a goal against Leeds, I
Yeah,
think.
he's got a good record in the
Yeah,
cups.
yeah, he has. He has. I think he's probably career 12 or 13, something like that. But, the guy doesn't get a lot of minutes. But with everything that's gone on, and I know you guys discussed Laka's interview
Mm.
yesterday.
Yeah,
Um, for me, Eddie puts in a performance like that, and yes, there was a few mistakes along the way as well. I'm not going to say we're not going to contradict ourselves on this channel by saying all of a sudden is the next Andy Cole or whatever, right?
yeah,
But I mean, there was an incident of him giving the ball away. Yes, but the only way that young man is going to get better is getting them Premier League minutes, and if
yeah,
he doesn't get them with us at the Arsenal, he'll get that there's a player in there, and
yeah,
someone is going to get someone with a lot of ability. Bear in mind, he's pro. Oh, my brain is going 100 miles an hour. He's the guy's gone from a low spell at Leeds, which wasn't really successful.
mm.
He didn't really get it again, the starts thing. But when he did come on for Leeds, he scored as well.
Mm.
And this, I think, is Eddie's chance to shine. I don't think if he carries on doing that, keeps away from injuries and everything like that, there's absolutely no reason for Eddie to be taken out of this side at the moment.
100%. Like I said for me, I
Yeah,
criticized him heavily in the last show.
yeah,
And obviously he came on, he came into the team. I wasn't happy with his selection. Nevertheless, Arteta
surprised.
picked him. He
Yeah,
played. He scored 2 goals. You know what? He did what we expect a striker to do. You get your chance, and you take it. The first goal was a beautiful finish. The second goal again was another good finish. I think what was good about him is that he had a different level of energy. He was a constant
yeah,
nuisance. His movement was good, and at the end of the day, he was clinical. I can't actually recall. I think there was only maybe one other chance when Saka pulled it back to him where he kind of scuffed his shot. But really and truly, out of 3 or 4 key chances, he put 2 away, and that's what
yeah,
you want. At the end of the day, you know, this doesn't change my stance on Eddie long term. I don't think he's good enough to play for Arsenal and lead the line for Arsenal. But at the end of the day, if we can, between now and the end of the season, we're talking 6 games, 7 games. It's key for Arsenal in terms of our European push. Forget top 4. Yeah, we might finish top 4, but really and truly, the aim this season was to get back into Europe. So, top 6 is
absolutely fair.
realistic. So really between now and then, he is in the shop window because, by all accounts, he's not going to sign a contract. So not only do we need a striker that's going to score between now and the end of the season, but he also needs to put himself in the shop window to get the best possible move away from the club.
Yeah,
So I think it's a win-win situation for both. If he scores goals, it does wonders for us in terms of our league position, but it also opens maybe some bigger doors for him in terms of a future free transfer away from the club. So, yeah, you know what? Even when I criticizing him, I got nothing
yeah,
against the kid. I wish him all the best of luck. And
yeah,
like I said, I really hope that he can actually, almost like recreate that type of performance last night over the next kind of 5 or 6 games, and then we take it from there. Now, I'm going to ask you this before we move on to obviously
yeah.
focus on some of our other Hale End boys. Um, if he were to go on a bit of a scoring run between now and the end of the season. And he's and the contract, as we're aware, was on the table, and he signed it and he stayed. How would you feel?
If he signs the contract, I feel well. Okay, so he's he's up for the fight and he wants to play for Arsenal, and
Yeah,
yeah, fair play to him. Because as it stands at the moment, we are very, very light. We've discussed on this channel since my debut on transfer deadline day, right? We were so light up front, right?
hmm
Well, all we'll be going in with is a lot of very, very young, even younger players. I mean, there was a name that was mentioned in the Matchday squad yesterday, which I can't remember because I don't think I've seen the guy play in the reserves or whatever.
mm.
But we are, to be realistic and get play like Nketiah, who if he gets given a chance, will score goals. I'm sure of that. In a money market in this day and age, it's a no-brainer for us to at least try and get him to sign the contract because the guy's already there, and I'm like you said, I'm sure he wants to prove a point. However, he was very strongly linked with Crystal Palace, wasn't he, in January?
Yeah, yeah, he was.
And
He was.
there's a lot of links which would tie that up quite well, and I think it's probably. I think he would probably get a better Premier League time, like minutes,
hmm
games and minutes, in goals over past his new. But you're absolutely right. He's in the shop window, and we'll take it from there. We'll take it from
Yeah.
there.
Definitely see what happens. Like I said, for me, you know what I mean. I was really happy for him. I was really happy for him, because I think regardless of what we say as fans, he's a young kid. He's got a bright career, ahead of him. Regardless of how that career turns out, he's playing at this level, so he's got a career. Whether that lies in the Premiership, whether that lies abroad in the Championship, he has a career ahead of him. So putting himself in the shop window, scoring goals is a good thing for us. It's a good thing for him. I personally wouldn't want him to sign a new contract. I just feel like we need strikers that are going to elevate us to the next level. And I don't really feel like he's going to do that. Plus, I just don't think he's going to get the minutes that he said he desires. So
Yeah.
I think it is probably best for both parties if he moves on. But you know what? Credit to him. He had a great game. So yeah, let's hope he has an equally good game against United at the weekend. We'll breeze through some of these comments and then we'll move on to talking about some of the other Hale End boys. Riddy Sakar, evening chaps, evening Riddy. We've got Eddie on the phone with Roman to buy Chelsea.
Hey, steady.
um, Gary here. Good evening, G and Lee, and the chat room. Good evening, Gary. We got BX Guna saying hi to Riddy. Saying hi to Gary. We've got D Dubs again. There was a time I thought he had a future at Arsenal, and it was prior to the Leeds loan. 100%. I think we all did, and I think we all hoped
Yeah.
that he had a future at Arsenal because I said this on the other night and the stream. I was like, anytime a good young prospect comes through the ranks, whether they are hair ends from the get go or we sign them from another club, you always want them to do well. You always want them to do well. And seeing him
Absolutely.
score in the youth ranks and seeing him score for England under 21s, you know, don't forget, England under 21 record goal scorer. You know, that's no mean feat.
Yeah.
So I really wanted him to do well, but for whatever reason, like I said, he's not really pushed on. So when he does leave the club, if he does leave the club, I do wish him all the best. Really Sakar saying hi, Gary. Lots of hellos in the chat. D
Like
Dubs
that
here
in right
saying,
thumbnail.
yeah,
I like that.
there was there was a time oh sorry, I just went back on that one. Ridley Sakar, born is the king of the bridge, Lord Eddie. And lastly, Gary Noji, Eddie could finish with 10 goals and I still would want him to go. That's what I said. That's what I said. I was asking the question, Gary. I was asking the question. Completely agree with you, but I do know sections of the Arsenal fan base, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's everybody's
Mhm.
opinion. I do know sections of the Arsenal fan base that would like him to potentially stay. We will probably get money for him too. We need improvements on our strikers, even the third striker, Eddie. No, I completely agree. I completely agree. Right, so we'll move on to these two gentlemen here, Mr. Starboy Saka and ESR. Now, I know we spoke briefly about this before we came on the air, and to be
Mhm.
honest, unless you're not on Twitter or on socials, you'll struggle to not know what I'm about to read out to you, and hopefully it's accurate. But basically, obviously, we'll talk about their performances, but just to kind of add to that conversation, Smith Rowe and Bukayo Saka, they've both now scored 10 plus Premier League goals, becoming the first under 21s duo to score 10 plus goals for the same club in a single Premier League season since Wayne Rooney and Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, they are some names
Wow.
to follow, basically. So, looking at their performances, obviously we know they've been immense this season because if you take away their goals and assists, we're nowhere near top four.
Yeah.
In all honesty, particularly given the fact that we don't really have a striker scoring consistently, so we've heavily relied on these guys, and in my opinion, I think too much so. With many
Yeah.
respects, but if you look at Smith Rowe and Saka's performance last night, talk me through their performance. What were your thoughts about how they played against Chelsea?
Um. So this is ESR's only second Premier League start, I think, for a little while since his injury layoff and COVID related injuries, etc. Illnesses, I should say. Um. I thought he had an okay game for me. I don't think that he was absolutely outstanding. I thought he took his goal absolutely beautifully,
Yeah.
and that passage of play. And do you know what? This might be a first on the channel. I'm going to give Granit Xhaka a bit of credit as well.
Oh, we'll get onto that. We'll get onto that. Don't worry.
Bobby in a bit, yeah. That little passage of play and that controlled finish, first time finish from a confident young man who, is scoring goals. He's getting assists for us in a disrupted season. Let's be fair, and we've spoken
Yep.
about his having his like a bit part role really, and we'll come on to what I think might happen to him for the Saturday game.
Yeah.
But I think he played okay. He did all right. Saka, I want to go on to that young man. What a boy this kid is, eh?
What a player.
We could debate and this is what's great about this channel and people's opinions. We all have an opinion on this channel. I know Bobby was talking about putting him at the left wing back position with the 3 centre halves and all that sort of thing. That's the beauty with this young man. You could probably put him anywhere, and he'll do a great job for you. As it was, we had the back four. We had Saka in his normal position up on the right midfield, right? And he ran. That was probably his best game in a long time as well.
In a long time,
and do you know what?
He ran their fullback ragged.
He did. And do you know what? I do. You're absolutely right about us using him an awful lot. If we had the chance to, we probably would have maybe rested him a little bit, and maybe he could have rested him, and he could have played Pepe in there as well, perhaps. But I thought Saka was absolutely brilliant yesterday. You know,
definitely.
He's and I will, and I said this. So the penalty right at the end of the game, in a game that was so crucial to us to get the win. Yeah, I know it was in injury time, but it just made it ever so sweet for the kid who got so much abuse after the England final in the summer to put himself forward. That, I think, was his first penalty he's taken at club level, certainly for us, certainly in match situation.
Yeah.
Didn't he take it beautifully? He was calm, he was composed, and celebrations were great as well. I tried to replicate it on stream. Don't know if you saw that yet. I can't pull the moves off, really, to be fair. I'm an old man, guys. You know.
We all are, man. We all are. But no, it's true. You know what? I think, last season, I was critical of these two players. And I wouldn't necessarily say I'm fairly critical, because I think they've obviously, they've burst onto the scene. They're doing really well, and to be honest, they're carrying this club, and they've been carrying us for a while now. However, for all the good performances, there was a lack of end product to a certain extent, and I've seen the proof in their play in terms of end products, because when you look at their goal contributions, assists and goals, like I said, we are in the table where we are because of these two lads. My frustration is with the club, in that I feel that we just rely on them too heavily. For the players at their age, in terms of where they are, their development. Yes, it's great that they're getting minutes. Yes, it's great that they're in the team. I'm proud to be an Arsenal fan, to know that we have Haaland boys in our starting 11. And I'm not for a second saying we should sign world-class players and drop them. But what I am saying is we need to have a squad of players, where we can, afford to rest Saka, or afford to rest ESR, because right now I can't remember the last time Saka got any respite from this Arsenal 11.
I don't.
And the impact he's having at Arsenal, he's also a massive feature in the England setup as well. So this boy is just playing so much football. And like I said, while that is good for his development, I just feel like, it's quite clear that Arteta doesn't fancy Pepe, because I think if not, you would have seen some changes, in and around, the squad when we've had so many fixtures. But yeah, the two of them are absolutely fantastic. I think Smith's Rowe first time finish is something he's kind of mastering as he's getting older. This first time finish, I've seen him do it a couple of times now, and it was an exceptionally good goal. In terms of his overall performance, I wouldn't say he had the best of his performance, but he's one of those players where, it's almost like regardless of how he plays, he seems to be able to be in a position to provide an assist or score a goal. So it's like you sometimes can't see what he's actually doing, but at the same time he's impacting games. And if there are some great players, in the past that you could say were somewhat like that. I've always said that about Lampard. Lampard was a player that, in terms of technical ability, I never massively rated him. And I'm not saying that him and Smith Rowe are similar, but what I'm saying is Lampard sometimes could go missing in games, but he'll always pop up with a goal, or he'll always get an assist, or do something in a key area of the pitch.
I get what you mean.
Yeah. So it's something like that. I think Smith Rowe technically has the ability to be a much better player than Lampard. in terms of technical ability. And you just have to look at the little shimmy he did on the edge of the box last
Yeah.
night, which he just put wide. He kind of,
Yeah.
he dribbled past about 3-4 Chelsea players in a very tight space, managed to get a shot at goal, but obviously it went narrowly wide. So I think he's having a great season. It's been somewhat interrupted, like you said, with injuries, but
Yeah.
I think the season will soon come to an end. They'll have a bit of a holiday, get another
Yeah.
preseason under his belt, and the sky's the limit in terms of what he could
Yeah.
achieve next season. Saka, to be honest,
100%.
I'm not gonna spend much time on Saka because I love him, you love him, we all love him.
Yeah.
He's our star boy. He went through absolutely something horrendous in the summer,
Yeah.
at the Euros, and he's come back and he's not been firing on all cylinders. I think week in, week out. But if you look at his numbers, he's still doing amazing numbers. And I think he had a really good performance last night against Chelsea. And
Yeah.
like I said in the WhatsApp group last night, sometimes sometimes you forget how young he is.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not until he's actually being interviewed at the end of the game, the post game. I look at him and I'm like, this boy looks about 14.
Doesn't
Like
he?
he
Yeah.
just looks like a child. But then you put
Yeah.
that ball at his feet and what he can do at that age,
Magic. Right?
it's just phenomenal. So yeah, he stepped up, he took the penalty, and I think as one of the comments says, he was kind of dispelling some demons there. In
Yeah.
terms of
Good
obviously the
on him.
Euros. So yeah, it was nice. It was nice. They put
I've
in
got to
great
say, in the
performances and
live in
contributed.
play, we got that pen, and I'm thinking
Yeah.
to myself, who on earth's going to take this?
Yeah,
Lacker's not on the field.
Eddie, I think Eddie
Martinelli,
had been
really?
dragged off by then. Yeah,
Yeah.
Eddie had been dragged
The
off
only one
by
I could
then.
think of
Yeah.
was Cedric, who was on the
No,
sub.
definitely. Yeah, true. Or even
But
maybe Xhaka might have top binsed it. You know what I mean? Someone like Xhaka, obviously given his age experience, maybe.
nah, I'm joking.
No worries. We're gonna get onto Mr. Xhaka and Mr. El Neni next. Before that, we'll hit up some of the comments. BX Gunner 81. That Smith Rowe sweet spot one time on the run shots. Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. It's something
Beautiful.
he's definitely mastering. Gary saying 10 goals each from ESR and Saka. Yes, same as Arsenal's 3 strikers in total. I know it is. They are some depressing stats, but let's hope that the strikers find some form between now and the end of the season. Gary here saying Saka drew the penalty kick, took the pressure off finishing it with all the controversy over the call and put it away. Very nice. Yep, I thought it was a pen. And I don't think you can blame him for going down in the box if you feel a defender, grab you, hold your shirt. In your opinion, was it a pen, quickly?
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go. No. And because the defender wasn't even looking at the ball. He just for me took in that. That's what made it a penalty for me.
Yeah.
I know others will argue
he wasn't playing the ball. Yeah. 100%.
So, yeah.
BX Gunner 81, Saka exercising some demons. Yep, I actually saw your comment come up, which is why I said it. Gary Lee, you said Pepe. Arteta has no trust in Pepe. Man is good as gone. 72 million down the drain. Yeah, I think we can all, none of us are blind.
I agree.
We can see what we can see, and that is Arteta just don't fancy him. Do you know what I mean? He just don't.
Yeah.
D Dubs ESR has that special something for me. He's added goals to his game as well, coming on from the left. Has our most dangerous because he has intelligence in his game also. I agree.
Yeah.
D Dubs again. Saka just keeps showing doubters there's no better right winger for England than him. Once he gets more cutthroat and matures even more, he will be up there with the best wingers in Europe, I believe. 100%.
Yeah.
Gary, ESR and Saka hopefully are peaking now. While being asked to play
too many minutes.
Yeah. I want to see ESR and Saka at 23-25 in Arsenal red. Riddy, I just can't stop singing this chant. There's nobody here, just like the old days. There's nobody here. That was actually fantastic. ESR showed Eddie how to be a good option off the bench. It didn't rub off, but Eddie's energy got him the 2 goals. He spends time in the box, unlike Laka. Riddy was humming the chant almost all day at work. Gary again, correction, ESR and Saka hopefully are not peaking now. While being asked to play too many minutes, I want to see ESR at 23 and 25 years old. Yeah, I definitely understand.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah. Chelsea's response was about European Championship. Not sure we have an answer for that. And Gary,
fair enough.
Gary, we also have 2 European trophies in our cabinet. Right, so We're going to move on. Now, two players that massively divide opinion in the Arsenal
Here
fan
we go.
base. One is Mr. Xhaka, and if you watched Tuesday night stream, you would see that Bobby and Stephen went at it with regards to the Xhaka debate surrounding the interview, his Arsenal career, etc. It was friendly, but it was competitive. Let's just say that. And obviously El Nene, who is predominantly nicknamed El Sideways here at the channel. We're not his biggest fans in terms of just his kind of general ability, really. And like I said, when the team sheet came out, I was a little bit concerned that he was picked. One, because I don't massively rate him as a player, but two, just because I couldn't remember the last time he played. And I'm thinking we're going in against the European champions here. He's going to be very ring rusty, and this is going to be a problem. Having said that, I've seen this guy play some good football. I remember one of his man of the match performances against Liverpool, or it might even have been Manchester United. So we know he can. I think it was in the Community Shield. We know he can play. Now, obviously, these are two players that massively divide opinion. Not so much last night. I think the general consensus last night was that both of them had good games. What did you make of their performances against Chelsea, individually and collectively as a midfield?
Okay. Well, with El Nene, if you go back to one of my preview shows, I said I probably would have played him instead, obviously, because we've got
you did say that.
Partey. Yeah, Partey's missing.
You were one of the only ones that actually said that, to be honest.
Do you know what I also said in the chat yesterday? 3-2 to Arsenal. Just saying, mate. But we'll give these lads their dues. We'll go Xhaka first. We spoke off stream a little bit how, although we might not be his biggest fans in the world, you know what? He does have a very important role to play at the moment.
Yep.
I don't think you can't take this man out of our midfield at the moment. You just can't, because he actually is one of the most experienced players at our club. If you think about it, 29 years old, and he's one of our most experienced. But anyway, especially with Thomas being out probably for the rest of the season, I think.
100%.
You take too much out of our general play, sticking him on at left back. Although I understand why he did it the other game, probably to protect the young man. Tavares, there he goes. I had to check my notes to get his name right, sorry. But just to protect that young man, obviously, because he was having a torrid time, right?
Yeah.
But for his performance, you know what? I don't even think I said, that was a bad tackle from Xhaka yesterday. I think he avoided a booking. And I'm not even saying that to be sarcastic. He was, am I saying this? Hang on. I'm going to breathe. Yeah. He was well-timed in his tackles. There's a bit in the play, and I touched upon it a little while ago, where I think it was Rob Holding and Xhaka were in our penalty area just before we got the breakaway for Smith Rowe's goal. And Xhaka put a lovely little bit of skill out just to give himself a little bit of room, I think, to get to the ball to Odegaard, who got it to Smith Rowe, Odegaard, and then the finish. No, it was Saka then, but you know what I'm saying. And fair play. That was he played a great game. El Nene, I thought, was a very strong contender for man of the match, mate.
Yep.
Honestly, for a guy to come in a massive game as it was for us, who'd not played first-team football in red for ages, probably since, I'm guessing, possibly one of the Carabao Cup games, probably.
Yeah, I have no idea it's been that long, to be honest.
It's either roundabout there, or it's the Forest defeat from the FA Cup. But he was outstanding. I thought he maintained the possession very well. I know you've got some stats. I won't blow them out right now. But he was really, really solid on the ball. I like his style. He's not one like Xhaka, who does like to go forward a bit. El Neni does tend to sort of stay back and help that defence out. I don't know if it's fair to compare him, but almost Gilberto Silva-like.
Mhm.
Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. In a similar style of play, in that he sits
Yeah.
deep and kind of cleans things up. Yeah,
And
I
that
get what
was
you're saying.
definitely needed yesterday,
Yeah.
especially because I thought we were a little bit ropey
Mhm.
around the defence area, but he stayed in the position. I thought he offered a bit of protection there, and
Yeah.
I thought his figures were outstanding. Go
No,
for it.
definitely. Yeah, I think you know what it's like. Like we've said, very similar to the Eddie situation in that,
Yeah.
and very similar to my position on Lacazette, as well as my position on Xhaka and El Nene. Regardless of what Eddie does between now and the end of the season, I'm pretty much certain that I want him to leave the club and
Yeah.
replaced. Similar with Lacazette. When it comes to El Nene and Xhaka, I very much feel like that with El Nene, um, because regardless of when he puts in these performances, I don't find that the consistency is there, in terms of when he does it in an Arsenal shirt. So he is a player that's coming out of contract in the summer, and I can see him being moved on. And I wish him all the best, and I hope we can upgrade him and replace him. Xhaka, on the other hand, I feel like he is clearly our second best, most gifted central midfielder behind Partey, and I don't feel that there is a desperate need to sell Xhaka, as much as maybe other sections of the Arsenal fan base. I think
Yeah,
there
I
are bigger
understand that argument.
there
Yeah.
are bigger problems in this Arsenal side than Xhaka being in the team. Because if we upgrade on Xhaka, it simply means that he drops to the bench, and all of a sudden we have a very good squad player, because he is a good player. There's no doubting his ability, because at the end of the day, no Arsenal fan can tell me they wouldn't have wanted him starting last night, because with the options
Yeah.
we have available at us right now, for me, he's our best central midfielder. So, you
What
know,
other options did we have? Honestly,
exactly,
Jay.
exactly. Do you know what I
I
mean?
mean,
So for me,
you're looking at the young kids, aren't you? I mean,
yeah.
like
So
Hutchinson, who's
yeah.
not
So
really at
for
this madness yet.
me, I would, I want an upgrade on him, but I'm happy for
Yeah.
him to be part of the squad for the next couple of years,
Yeah.
until obviously the squad naturally evolves and develops, etc. But in terms of their performances, I thought Xhaka was fantastic. Um,
Yeah.
I really do, and I know I've had conversations with different gooners, some praising him, some, saying that they didn't think the performance was that good. But I thought he was faultless. There are times when his performances are quite poor, and to be honest, people have said that there were a couple of loose passes in the beginning of the game. There were loose passes all across the whole pitch with Chelsea players and Arsenal players. There was Eddie Nketiah scored 2 goals, but like you said, lost possession for one of the Chelsea goals. So if you want to nitpick, you can nitpick and find fault in obviously all players. But I think when you look at his overall game across the 90 minutes, he had a very good. For me, it wasn't even good. I believe him and El Nene both were probably deserving of a man of
Yeah.
the match award in terms of the way they played. That bit of play for our second goal on the edge, in the box, on the edge of the box, was phenomenal.
It's
Phenomenal.
calm. It's
Like
composed. It's
if
really good.
somebody like Declan Rice does that,
Yeah.
in a
Oh,
West
it's
Ham
brilliant.
shirt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People talking about oh, player of the season, 60, 70 million transfer to Chelsea. Because Xhaka does it, it's almost like, oh, we're just gonna kind of ignore it. I'm not his biggest fan at all. But what he did in that scenario, under pressure, taking control of the situation, nutmegging one of the Chelsea players and playing a ball out of defense into attack, was phenomenal. Not many players can do that. So
Yeah.
that was really, really good. And there were a couple of occasions, one time when even Lukaku was through on goal, and he used his body really well. He was strong, he stood up, and he actually stopped, what would have been almost, well, Lukaku right now, maybe not a certain goal, but a chance on goal. So I thought he was
You wouldn't
really,
put
really
it past him
strong.
against us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I thought he had a really good game, and I think, we're quick to criticize him when he plays poorly. So I believe like we should be quick to give him credit when he plays well. And that is the same for El Nene. Again, I'm not his biggest fan, but I thought he did look a bit ring rusty, similar to Holding and a couple of the other boys that came in to the side. But I think as the game went on, El Nene's presence, dominance grew in that midfield, and yeah, I thought he had another really, really good game. And just some of the stats in terms of El Nene's performance: 100% ground duels won, 90% pass accuracy. Um, in terms of six ball recoveries, four interceptions. And I just think his overall game and his overall performance of these two in that game was really, really good. Now, the question is, moving forward between now and the end of the season, because you brilliantly said that this was only El Nene's last start since God knows when.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the central midfield partnership that you want to see between now and the end of the season?
Yeah, I'll go with it. Definitely. I mean, we said it already. We're not their biggest fans, and we're not. I can probably. I can't see the comments, but I can hear people.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. We're gonna go to them. We're gonna go to them in a sec.
Yeah. But do you know what? I think El Neni is a really good option at this moment in time. We ain't going to see Party for a while.
Yep.
I'd rather have an experienced international player in there.
Yeah,
absolutely essential in this very, very young side. So, and that goes for Xhaka as well. As I said, we're not going to we're talking top 6, top 4, whatever you call it. However many points we're going to get, how many games we are going to win, I wouldn't mind betting that midfield battle, them two in there, are going to be the ways that we're going to win our points. Hopefully
100%.
On Saturday.
Hopefully, and we'll get onto that shortly when we do our Man United preview. Brilliant.
Absolutely.
And we'll go to the comments before we move on. Aridi Sakar here saying, yes, we do. Not sure if the Cronkies want them, though. I'm not sure I've got the rest of that conversation. Ugh, you said the K word.
K-word.
Gio Guna. Good evening, Gio Guna. These two here, Boston midfield, hands down. What's up, guys? We're all good, man. We're all good. We're enjoying the stream, enjoying the result from last night. Really saying, nice to hear Xhaka instead of 34. It's because Steven's not here. Gary said those.
He's not alone. He's not alone there, is he?
I'm surprised. I think Stephen is on his way back from work. Otherwise, I think he would have jumped in the comment section there as well. Gary saying those two were good yesterday. Not any loose passes I could think of, but we had loose passes from many other players. Okay. Some praise there from Gary. BX Gunner 81 again. If Xhaka is guilty for throwing an armband and an F word you here and there, I'm a straight criminal because I've blasted the club many times over the years, over the last 18 years. You know what? I actually respect that comment because it's true. I understand why fans have their opinion and perception of him based on what he did. But the flip side of that is you also have to understand that the guy is a human being. Do you know what I mean? And he does have emotions. And on that day, he clearly just lost it. I didn't watch the interview, but I know there was quite a lot of in-depth explanation into obviously how that and why that happened. But yeah, good point. Good point. BX Gunner again. If we don't need to, don't sell. 100%. I think he's referring to Xhaka there. Gio Guna. They just managed to adapt very, very well. Hopefully, will do for the rest of this season. You are not the face of the club. You are a fan. He caved under the pressure of a sinking ship and took the blame. Anyone would under that. Yep. D-Dubs, Xhaka was very good last night. One of the better games for us for sure. Happy for him to be in a squad next season, as we'll definitely need him if we're in Europe too. I think El Neni time is up though. I would agree. Out of the two, I would keep Xhaka and ship El Neni. That's just my personal opinion. Gary here saying El Neni showed the professionalism you get from a senior player. Sometimes this team lacks. Senior players know their level and give their best without negatives. And BX Gunner 81, Mohamed needs to take more risk and add goals, then he'd be solid. Yeah, definitely. That's a point. Right, what we're going to do, we're going to move swiftly on to obviously the Manchester United preview. But before we do that, just in a nutshell, 30 seconds on the clock. What did you make of the performance, Chelsey?
Chelsey, I thought really encouraging, brave performance. Good response to some very harsh words from the fans. Obviously, the Arteta out crew were having a nice time over the last few games, but they great reaction. very difficult game at the Bridge. Go away, get 3 points, build on it at the home place. Let's get our home form back. Let's get some decent finishing for this season. Let's finish at top 6, 4, whatever.
Time's up.
Boom.
There we go. There we go. Right. Yeah. So what we're gonna do at this point, obviously we've rounded up last night's victory. And like I say, what an amazing victory it was. I don't think many of us expected it. We couldn't even see where we were gonna get a goal from, let alone 4. So
All 3.
it was a welcomed victory, and it was a welcomed 4 goals. So yeah, no, 3 points was key. And like I say, it does keep our hopes alive of top 4, despite me feeling as though we probably won't get it this season. But you know what? All we got to do is keep winning games, taking every game as it comes, and who knows what's going to happen between now and the end of the season. But yeah, so we're going to move swiftly on to Man United preview. But before we do that, we're just going to give a special mention to this gentleman here, Mr. Ian Right. With the news breaking today that he basically earned the right to join.
Right.
Yeah, he earned the right to join the Premier League Hall of Fame. Now, this player, Ian Wright. Ian Wright's just one of those players for me. Like he holds a special place in my heart. And the reason why that is because I would say he is probably the sole reason, or one of the most significant reasons, why I support this football club. I fell in love with Arsenal Football Club watching Ian Wright play, and it was just the way he played football, the passion, the heart, the effort, that he put into the game, the goals he scored, all types of goals. But it was also the fact that somebody growing up in Southeast London, I could kind of relate to him, where he'd come from, his upbringing. And as I got older and I learned more about him in terms of obviously his football career not going the way he wanted, bursting onto the scene a lot later than a lot of professionals at the age of 24, and just learning about his life and his hardships, and even what he's gone and done for the sport, the game, for youth, for people, for the community since he's retired. I just think he's phenomenal, but we'll focus on the football. For me, this was a given. For me, this was completely earned. It was no debate for me. I know they vote, but I don't even think it required a vote. In terms of getting his place in the Premier League Hall of Fame, an exceptionally gifted striker. To be honest, there's nothing more really I can say about him. He's my favorite player of all time, as an Arsenal player. The reason I support this club, and in terms of his performance for Arsenal and what he's gone on to do since his career's, his footballing career is over, I just got nothing but respect and love for the guy. Absolutely humble, just a beautiful soul. But yeah, give me your thoughts on obviously Ian Wright, joining the Premier League Hall of Fame.
Ian Wright is like you, I am the reason I fell in love with this club is the very reason I'm in this seat on this computer screen right now, right?
Yeah.
The guy played the game with that smile on his face. I can't help but look at that picture. I'm beaming. I am beaming because the way he played. I'm privileged enough and old enough to remember watching him live at Highbury as well. And we're talking a very, very different time here. We're talking, like George Graham days and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So we had a fairly. There's probably going to be some much younger people than me in this chat room right now. We had a very, very different style of playing football back then. So we had some exceptional defenders who will do defending, and basically the idea was they'll keep a clean sheet, and then they'll get the ball to this man here. It'll be 1-0 to Arsenal all the time. He scored an absolute bucket load of goals, all sorts of goals, right foot, left foot, headers, penalties. I remember him playing with Anders Limpar. Remember how good he was on the left-hand side? And there's a game against Southampton. I can still see the pictures. I haven't seen the game in ages. I can see it right in front. I can see that cross coming in from that side. And right, he's just hit it first time, side of his foot, straight in that top corner. There was nothing that man could do. He showed such passion, such
He was.
heart for the club.
You know what it is, yeah. Some players are just born to score goals.
Yeah.
You just see a striker and you just think you were born to score goals.
Yeah.
That's what it was like with Ian Wright. I can't even, and I know they say, when you have favorite footballers, you tend to remember just the good parts, but I just can't recall him missing, many sitters, or I just remember him being so clinical. But I think the one thing about Ian Wright, which I think all Arsenal fans loved, whether or not he had a poor game, whether or not he missed a chance, it was the amount of passion he played with. That's what it was for me. When I watched him play, you genuinely saw that this was a man who realized just how lucky and privileged he was to play professional football, and how much he loved the game and loved the club. And I think that resonated with all fans, and in many ways it transcended Arsenal Football Club. Because he's one of those players, regardless of being a club legend, he's a football legend. There isn't a person in the industry that has a negative thing to say about Ian Wright. Obviously at the time, Peter Schmeichel and that lot might have
say that.
had a few things to say, but I still remember the rivalry. That rivalry was absolutely epic between him and Peter Schmeichel. But yeah, he's just brilliant. He's brilliant.
The Sky Sports lads do not know what they're talking about.
Yeah, they don't know what a rivalry is, mate.
Between Liverpool and Man City, I can tell you.
That was the rivalry right there.
Righty against Peter Schmeichel was epic.
Yeah,
100%. And I've got tons of respect for Big Peter Schmeichel, by the way, as well. Who is also in the Hall of Fame as well now. So,
yes.
But I mean, we know what we're talking about. There's a big clash. Righty goes in, and it definitely left a bit on him.
100%.
And he got so much criticism for that. The way he moved on from that, carried on. And I'll briefly go. There's one other thing I want to bring up. He left Arsenal after winning the Premier League. Is something that he always wanted to do. Goes on to where did he go? West Ham, Nottingham Forest, Celtic, and Burnley. He scored 21 other goals that late in his career.
Yeah.
The guy is just incredible. Well done, Righty. Love you, mate.
100%, man. Big up Ian Wright, man. Big up Ian Wright. Brilliant. So at this point, we're going to move on to obviously previewing the Manchester United game. And we're going to do this. Yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to do this rapidly. But before we move on, we're going to go to some comments. Manu hate 'em. Arsenal bring same energy, be clinical and finish them off early. No stress, please. We've got BX Guna 81. When Ronaldo resigned, re-signed. Sorry. I initially felt, damn, he's back, but this isn't the same Ronaldo tearing up teams on runs. He can still be deadly, but only in the box for me. I agree with that. Gary, I love that. Tuchel said his team contributed to 5 goals in the game. Thank you. Yeah, no problem. We don't mind that. Let teams contribute to 5 goals all the time. Ian, right. 100%. Is Tony Adams there? Yeah, I'm sure he is. I think he is.
I think they were voting for him, mate. I think they were voting to get Tony in.
I'd have to check that.
Again, we'll have a conversation about Tony Adams another day. I'm absolutely sure about that.
Definitely. BX Gunner 81. Ian Wright has that swagger, 100%. Shout out for the classic football shirts for getting his memorabilia back to him. Like his golden boot after he lost it in the divorce. Who's Ian Wright? Look at my thumbnail. Right. And lastly, Ian Wright and Alan Shearer, best 90s strikers. Brilliant.
100%.
Right, now we're going to move swiftly on to the preview of the Manchester United game, which is taking place on this Saturday at 12:30 at the Emirates. What is, in a way, become a bit of a, it was always going to be a big game, but obviously, given the result against Chelsea, which most of us didn't expect to happen, that game is massive. Now I'm going to bring up the team that you predicted. And for those of you who are listening and can't see a screen, this is Lee's. I will let him explain in terms of whether it's a predicted or whether it's the team he wants to pick. But the team he has picked is Ramsdale in goal, a back four of Cedric White, Gabriel Tavares, a midfield pivot of El Neni and Xhaka, Odegaard in the number 10 position with a front three of Saka on the right, Martinelli on the left, and Nketiah through the middle. So, talk me through your lineup, and obviously the rationale and reasons why you've gone with this team.
Fair enough. So the keyboards I can hear. Oh no! Yeah. So the reason why I have done this lineup is because I thought defensively yesterday I didn't think we were brilliant. So what I thought, let's bring White and Gabriel as centre halves. I don't think Cedric done an awful lot wrong to be deserved being dropped, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And Tavares, of course, is our only fit left back. I actually thought he had we haven't mentioned this. I actually thought he had a pretty decent game. Certainly going forward. I know a couple of iffy bits defending, but I thought he had a pretty decent game overall. We spoke about the pivot, Xhaka and El Neni, phenomenal yesterday. And Odegaard as a captain as well. That was his second game as captain yesterday. Absolutely, we don't need to explain that one. This is where I'm going to cause a bit of upset, possibly.
Yeah.
But
go for it. Your team.
But just in my, we mentioned a little while ago ESR and got the lovely goal. I don't think he had a brilliant game, but he got a lovely goal, and his figures for the season are absolutely outstanding. I do want to be careful with him, and I want to be very careful with him because he got 70 minutes last night. That was only his second game back since the COVID and other injuries coming back into the side. I just think Martinelli, with his pace on that left-hand side, I would go with him on this one. Starboy, of course. I don't need to say anything about Saka. And I'm singing Eddie's praises at the moment. I don't think you can't drop him.
Yeah.
As much as what more can Eddie do to get that shirt at least for the end of the season? Laka would not have performed like Eddie did yesterday. He just wouldn't have done because he hasn't got that pace. Yeah. And like I said, I think Eddie had that edge because he wanted to prove himself. So that is my rationale for that one.
Brilliant. Thank you.
I can almost hear the comments hating me.
Now, you know what? So far, it's been a little bit quiet. So I think people are in agreement. So please do have a look at Lee's team and obviously put in your comments if there's anything you do differently, whether or not you agree with it. But in terms of me, obviously, for me, Ramsdale, I have no arguments with Ramsdale in goal. In terms of your back four, I think the back four makes sense. I would like to see White back at central defence alongside Gabriel. I didn't really like the fact that Holding was brought in. I understand, obviously, wanted to mix things up, but I think it potentially affected both their games early on in that fixture against Chelsea. So I'd like to see the pairing back, to where they've been playing.
Just one more thing. So I thought Holding went down with a bit of cramp at the end as well.
Yeah,
so just with the tight turnaround as well.
Yeah,
so that's another thinking of that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like I say, I think I was a bit surprised anyway that Cedric wasn't included in the first team. So him coming back for me makes perfect sense. Tavares, deputizing at left back again, makes a lot of sense for me. El Neni and Xhaka in midfield is a bit of a no-brainer. I think you're spot on. I think after the performance they've put in, I don't think it would make any logical sense, changing that, barring any injuries, touch wood, God forbid. Odegaard, I saw a stat actually, and it said that I think it was since Christmas. I don't know if it was since Christmas or it definitely wasn't since the beginning of the season. I think it might have been since Christmas that he's created the most chances in the Premier League.
Yeah, I heard that one.
And that was above the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, Foden. I think there was another name in there, Fernandes from Manchester United. So I don't think he's been at his best recently, but I thought he was good again against Chelsea. I think the last couple of games he's not been at the races as he's not been as good as he was doing when he was absolutely firing. So I'm hoping he can find form again. But yeah, for me it's a no-brainer putting him in the starting 11. Saka on the right. Yep, nothing more needs to be said there. Nketiah in the middle, for me, he's earned his spot against Manchester United. He's come in, he scored 2 goals. and he was an absolute nuisance for that Chelsea backline all game. I think he pretty much run himself into the ground a little bit, and
Yeah.
also I think Arteta may have even been saving him for United at the weekend. That's why he dragged him. Once we were in a 3-2 scoreline, and Martinelli on the left. You know what? For me, it's kind of like the whole Martinelli and ESR thing. I don't really want to get into it because I don't think there's anything to get into. They're both exceptionally good young players that play for Arsenal. You know, one being Haaland, another one coming from Brazil. They're both in the squad. They both play on the left. And for me, if I see ESR in the team, I'm happy. If I see Martinelli in the team, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I honestly, that's how I feel. And I just feel like, look, if Martinelli starts, I'm all for it. And if for whatever reason we need to bring ESR on 55, 60, 70 minutes to make an impact or change the game, we can do that, and vice versa. So I'm happy with that lineup. If I saw that lineup on Saturday, morning about 11:30, then I'd be absolutely fine with it. So yeah, great job on the lineup, in my
Thank
opinion.
you very much.
Do let us know in the comments if you like it, if you don't, if you agree with it, if you do anything different, because we're going to jump to the comments shortly. But obviously, this game on Saturday, it's a huge game, as we said. You know, running money end of the season. Top 4, top 6. At risk. Man United are not doing too well at the moment. Obviously, just got
No.
slapped by Liverpool 4-0
Yeah.
the other day. But they have announced their manager, which some might say possibly could be, PR strategic, kind of take the heat off obviously how poorly they're doing this season.
Mm.
Maybe try and give them a bit of a lift between now and obviously the Arsenal game. But focusing on the match itself, how do you see this one going, Lee?
I really, really hope to see us, firstly, retaining the ball better,
Yeah,
and secondly, putting the United defence under the
under
pressure
pressure.
the Liverpool guys did the other night.
Hmm.
I felt sorry for Phil Jones the other night, by the way.
It was
He
unfair,
did.
weren't it?
Oh, I felt so bad for him. There was two things. They were playing that back five sort of thing,
Mm.
and I mean they're not used to playing that. And he hadn't played in, it feels like, years, to be honest, for me.
Yeah.
And when you got the likes of Salah, Mane,
It's just,
what's the
it
new
just
guy?
wasn't fair, was it?
Yeah,
Throwing him into the
Diaz.
lines then.
Sorry, I'm really old. I'm sorry. I get confused with names.
Yeah,
But Diaz and everyone, they run them ragged.
yeah.
I don't really buy the idea that the change of the manager for next season is going to really impact too much,
Yeah.
because they ain't going to see it. I would imagine it's
Probably
going to
might have
be
done a FaceTime call or something like that, but that's about it.
maybe.
Yeah.
But I would imagine there's going to be quite a few of that United squad that actually probably aren't going to be there.
Yep.
We haven't touched on this yet. Cristiano Ronaldo, bless his heart, I don't know if he's going to be available for Saturday. What's happened to him and his family over the last couple of days is absolutely horrible, and thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, I just hope he gets plenty of time, because dealing with something like that is just awful. I said this yesterday. I'll say it again today. Arsenal fans, if you go into the game, there's we mentioned it yesterday. There's a cause going on where they're going to sort of, I think they're encouraging bring teddy bears or something in to give. I don't know. Look, it's a nice gesture. I don't know the ins and outs of how they're going to arrange it yet, but I think it's yellow ribbons something on Twitter. You might know this better than
I'm not too sure. I know there's a bit of a movement, like I said, in terms of bringing the teddy bears to the game.
Yeah, exactly. And just on this one, just Arsenal fans, remember who you are, what you represent. That's Rocky's line, and I love it. Really, really works well here. You know, 7th minute. Do you know what? Guys, give him a nice round of applause or something. You know, the guy's gone through hell. So
100%. No, definitely.
Yeah.
And yeah, just on that, in terms of that, it was, I don't often tweet about rival players. I don't often do it unless kind of taking a mic or something like that. But when I saw the message come up, I don't know who had retweeted it, but somebody retweeted it. My heart just sank
Yeah.
because I was just like, and I don't even think you need to be a father to understand it. But I think if you are a father, you can't even imagine or envision, what that must feel like.
Yeah.
So it was really sad. It was really sad to hear. His wife, his family must be going through absolute torture right now. Because like I said, I've lost people close to me. I've lost friends. I've lost both my parents. And that pain is devastating. But
Yeah.
I can't even imagine, and I don't want to imagine what it feels like to actually lose a child. It's got to be it's unthinkable. And I think what is so crazy is that like something like that happens, and the guy was in training like about a couple of days after, and it's just insane.
Unbelievable, man.
It's just insane. But look, if he
It's
plays,
just coping
if he
mechanism, I suppose.
yeah,
Be honest.
at the end
No.
of the day, we wish him all the best. Thoughts and prayers go out to the family.
I hope
Um,
the daughter's doing okay as well. I've not heard
yeah,
anything. I know it's twins, isn't it?
just the family,
Yeah, I know.
themselves, So you look, we won't say nothing more on the matter, apart from just wish him all the best. If you're going to the game, if you are on socials, like Lee said, be
Be
respectful. Some
respectful,
things
yeah.
are way bigger than football, and this for me is way bigger than football. The well-being and health of somebody's child, is more important than any football game or football club or football player. So yeah, just be respectful. When you are on the socials, if you are going to the game or interacting with any Man United fans, again, just be respectful with regards the matter. Don't use it as fuel or anything like that as a way to upset or abuse anybody. And just be respectful. But yeah, in terms of the game itself, I have to be honest, I have no clue how this game's going to go.
Hmm.
No clue whatsoever. And the reason why I say that is because you look at our run before the international break, you know, I was so confident going in against Brighton, Palace, and Southampton.
Yeah.
Absolutely dreading last night's game.
Yeah.
So I have no clue as to what's happening between now and the end of the season. We could rock up to the Emirates on Saturday and absolutely annihilate them, or we could get another 5-4, or it could
Oh,
just
my heart
or
couldn't take that, mate.
or Man United could lift their game and give us one hell of a game. What I will tell you is I don't see us losing the game. And I think given Man United's form and their recent performances, or to be honest, their inconsistency all season, I'd be gutted if we lose the game. Because I think Man United at this point in the season are worse than where they were when we last played them. And when we last played them, we narrowly lost 3-2 in a game that I believe we should have won.
Oh,
So
yes.
so for me, Man United are there for the taking. Now we do have injuries. Obviously, KT, Partey, they're massive miss. But when I look at the way we responded against Chelsea last night at Stamford Bridge, it does give me optimism and hope that we can approach this game in the right manner. It will give us some much needed confidence, which we were lacking. And I just feel like defensively they're going to make mistakes because defensively they're poor. And I think if we can just penalize those mistakes and make the most of those mistakes, I think there are goals in this game for us. Defensively, we've not looked as sound recently. In the first half, we were shaky against Chelsea. But having said that, second half, I thought we were solid. So it just really depends on what Arsenal shows up and what Man United team shows up. So at this point, I'm going to get a score prediction from you. Scoreline for Arsenal versus Manchester United at the Emirates on Saturday. And please, those of you who are still with us, I'm going to come to the comments shortly. Please put in your score predictions. Anyone to get their first score prediction in will be our charity bet for this match. Go on, Lee, give it to me. What are you thinking?
All right.
Scoreline.
All right. Okay. Let's go optimistic. I'm going to go 3-1 Arsenal. How about that?
3-1 Arsenal, yeah?
Go for it. Why not?
Boom. Right, 3-1 Arsenal. I'm going to write this down because I need to give these. I need to
Anything
give
I do
these
say.
to. No. Because I need to give them to Stephen. I need to share them in the WhatsApp group so he can sort out the bets and work. Because obviously we've got a little competition going on amongst ourselves. But I'm gonna come to the comments. So whoever's got the first score in, you will get the charity bet. I'm gonna go for. I really think this is a tough one.
Mm.
Really is a tough one because I just don't know which way it's gonna go. I think it's gonna be high scoring again. Um, and I think 3-1 is not a bad shout. I'm gonna go 2-1 to Arsenal.
Okay.
I think I can't see them not scoring, but I can see us scoring more. And that sounds very strange because I think they have far more firepower than us. But I just think Manchester United are just, if our confidence was rock bottom, I think theirs is just on the floor right now. And I think defensively, if we approach the game right, even if we don't play at our best, we're going to get a hatful of chances against this
Yeah.
United team. So we just need to make sure we're clinical. So Lee's gone 3-1. I said talking about
Yes.
myself in the third person. I've gone 2-1. I will get the score predictions off the rest of the team, Lottie, Bobby, and Stephen, once the show's over, and we'll sort that out. So I'm going to jump to the comments right now. BX Gunner 81, I'll be there, Gary, and I know you're talking about obviously the game. Sorry, I missed the first one here. I'm getting up at 7 a.m. Hope the boys show up because I know you guys live in the States. Me too. I'll be there doing a watch along. Yep, I'll be there too, Gary. D Dubs here saying either one to start and I wouldn't be upset. It's a toss up, but I get reasoning to why rotation might be good. And I think he's referring to ESR Martinelli
Yeah.
conversation. Gio Guna, good looking team, Lee. Holding had a good game, to be honest. Super sub ESR. And once we are leading, bring on Holding. So yeah, Martinelli starts for me as well. In agreement
Thanks,
with
mate.
the team. D Dubs, spot on GT. It should never be made into a versus because that's what creates fanboys, and we don't need that negativity. And that's what I mean. Is I really don't. I've seen a couple of people tweet stuff, doing this like, oh, ESI can't get a game, Martin. And I'm just like, just enjoy the fact that we've got two brilliant young players that can play on the left and are massively impacting the first team. It really doesn't always have to be him versus him. You know what I mean? It just doesn't have to be like that. Gary here, Ronaldo and Maguire dealing with things people shouldn't have to deal with. We
Yeah.
are humans. And obviously that's with regards to the news tonight
Yeah.
that came out shortly before the stream that there was a bomb threat made to Maguire and his family. So let's just hope it was a hoax. Let's just hope it was people talking a lot of hot air and there was no truth to it. And let's just hope that him and his family are safe and sound. Because, like I said, some things are just more important than football. Gio Guna got the scoring 3-1. So Gio Guna, you are the same
Go along with me.
scoreline as Lee. You're going to be our charity bet. And what I'm going to do, because I haven't looked it up because I didn't prepare for this, I'm going to find out what the odds are with regards that scoreline and that result, and then I'm going to DM you the details. But just to let you know, if you're first tuning in for the first time, we do have a charity bet. Every season, we're going to pick a new charity. This season, it's the Northern Ireland Air Ambulance, and that's because it's a charity close to Stephen's heart. So every single week, we place a £1 bet on a score prediction, and all proceeds basically go to the Northern Ireland Air Ambulance. It's a charity close to Stephen's heart, mainly for the reason that saved the life of one of his best friends, and also due to the fact that they're completely self-funded, so they rely on charitable contributions to stay up and running, which for me is just crazy. I don't know why the government's not doing more to obviously keep these amazing organizations going, but that's the reason why we do it. So Gio Guna, you're this week's charity bet. I'll find out the odds and what the returns are, and then I will drop you a DM after the show. We've got Gary here, Arsenal win 2-1. D Dubs 3-1. 3-1 seems like a popular scoreline. Really Sakar
Really good one.
1-1. I am back on Cannon Chatter. Swarit, wow, yes, welcome back, Swarit. It's been a while. It has been a while. I think you actually came on one of the last streams that we recently did, and it had been a while since we'd last saw you. So welcome back, Swarit. Nice to have you. Swarit right in there with I'm going for 2-1 to the Arsenal, same scoreline as me. Stephen. Stephen's here. Stephen is here. Yes, Stephen has gone 2-0 Arsenal. Gary, Arsenal don't lose much when one of ESR, Saka, Martinelli have to sit. We need one. We need one to add to the rotation. Gio Guna, here we go. And you know what? I knew he was going to do it. I
He's
wanted
the
to say,
man.
I wanted to say that he was going to do it, but then I didn't want it to be like for whatever reason he wasn't watching, and then it looks like he wasn't doing it. But just like man, I could have predicted it. There he is. So Stephen has said 3-1 is 14-1, which returns £15, I believe. So yes, Gio Guna, you have this week's charity bet. Let's hope Arsenal get the win. Let's hope they win 3-1. So not only can we get the 3 points, strengthen our position in the league, but also we can donate £15
Raise that money.
to the Northern
Come on.
Ireland Air Ambulance. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up the show. Any last thoughts, Lee, with regards, obviously, the game on Saturday? Huge game. Any last
Huge.
thoughts between now and obviously the game?
Just the last thought. So, we come back after a really dodgy run and a phenomenal performance last night. Let's keep it going. Please be loud, make some noise, guys.
Definitely.
And come on, you gooners.
Definitely. No, thank you for that. And thank you for joining me, because I know you was on the chat along last night. And obviously, in terms of like availability, there wasn't many of us available for this earlier slot. So I massively appreciate you coming on tonight's stream, obviously.
No
Cannon
worries.
Chatter family. The only other thing is I was going to ask you, you might know because I've completely forgot. Do you know when we're back? Because I know we have the lock-in on Monday, obviously reviewing the Manchester United game.
Okay.
However, do we have any other streams between now and Monday?
I don't know if any of you guys are going to do a chat along on the match, because I'm not available for it, unfortunately.
Yeah. No problem. No problem.
I know Lots is going to be doing the ladies' game against Everton. I nearly forgot the team.
There we go.
She would have absolutely killed me.
Yep,
you know that?
Yep.
Guys,
and there is
please.
Stephen, like clockwork.
There he is.
He's always watching. This guy, he's like Big Brother. He's always watching,
It's got our back, eh?
No, I appreciate that, Stephen, man. Yeah, so Lottie is on tomorrow night at 7:30. And that is for Arsenal ladies versus Everton ladies. So yeah, please do, if you're into the ladies game, join us. If you're not and you want to learn more and you want to get into it, it's a massively, growing sport. It's something we massively support here at the channel. And Lottie's doing a fantastic job covering it. I know Lee, you jump on a lot of the shows as well. So massive, great work from the two of you in terms of that. So yeah, if you are free tomorrow night at 7:30 and you want to get involved, please do get involved. Other than that, we are back on Monday. If not Monday, it will be Tuesday for obviously the lock-in, where we'll basically be obviously reviewing the Manchester United game and obviously looking forward to our next Premier League game. So yeah, we've got here some last comments. Gary, come on, you Gunners. Have a good day, G, Lee, Stephen, and chat room. Thank you so much. Stephen reminding us that Lottie will be back tomorrow night at 7:30. Chat along on Sunday for the women's game versus Everton. Yeah, there we go. Gio Guna, cheers everyone. Cheers, Gio. Thank you for tuning in. And Swear It just followed Lee on Twitter. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Cheers, we appreciate that, Swear It. And if for whatever reason we're not following each other, make that happen. I will make that happen after, but I think we are following each other. Swear it. But yeah, that's about it. So yeah, massive result against Chelsea. Massive game on Saturday against Manchester United. A real opportunity to beat one of our rivals, one of the clubs that are in and around the mix, obviously for top 4, top 6. We'll put some real kind of space and breathing space between us and them. And obviously put the pressure on Spurs as well, because they've got that game against Brentford. They've got the game against Brentford, and I tell you, I really fancy Brentford getting something from that match. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, it's a good evening from me. See you guys soon. And yeah, come on, you Gunners, let's get the victory. So until next time, keep chatting.